Sylvester and the Magic Pebble, written and illustrated by William Stagg. Sylvester Deccan lived with his mother and father at Acorn Road in Oaksdale. One of the hobbies was collecting pebbles of unusual shapes and color. On a rainy Saturday during vacation, he found a quite extraordinary one. It was a flaming red one, shiny and perfectly round, like a marble. As he was studying the remarkable pebble, he began to shiver, probably from excitement, and the rain felt cold on his back. "I wish it would stop raining," he said. To his great surprise, the rain stopped. It didn't stop gradually as rain usually do. It ceased. The drops vanished on the way down. The clouds disappeared. Everything was dry. The sun was shining as if the rain had never existed. In all his young life, Sylvester had never had a wish gratified so quickly. It struck him in a magic way. It struck him that magic must be at work. He guessed that the magic must be a remarkable looking red pebble, where indeed it was. To rest, he put the pebble on the ground and wished it would rain again. Nothing happened, but he did the same thing, holding the pebble in his hoof, and stood. But he did the same thing, holding a pebble in his hoof, and the sky turned black. There lightning and claps of thunder, and the rain came shooting down. "What a lucky day this is," thought Sylvester. "From now on I'll have what I want. My father and mother can have nothing they want. My relatives and friends and anybody at all can have everything anybody wants." He wished the sunshine came back in the sky, and he wished a wart on his left hind. He wished the sunshine back in the sky, and he wished the wart on his left hind footlock would disappear. It did, and he started home, eager and amazed. His father and mother wished with his magic pebble. He could hardly wait to see their faces. Maybe they could just believe him at first. He was crossing Star Hill, thinking of some of many, many things that he wished for. He started to see a mean, hungry lion looking at him from behind the tall grass. He was frightened. If he hadn't been so frightened, he could have just made the lion disappear. He could have wished him a safe at home with his father and mother. He could wish the lion to turn into a butterfly or a daisy, as he granted. He could have wished for many things, but he panicked and couldn't think of it carefully. "I wish I were a rock," he said. He became a rock. The lion bounced over and sniffed the rock 100 times, and walked around it and went away confusedly, perplexed, puzzled, and bewildered. "I saw a little donkey as clear as the day. Maybe I was going crazy," he muttered. As there was Sylvester, a rock on Saturday Hill, with a magic pebble lying right next to him on the ground. He was unable to pick it up. "Oh, how I wish I was myself again," he thought. And nothing happened. He had been touching the pebble to make the magic work, but there was nothing he could do about it. He had thoughts to begin to race like mad. He was scared and worried, being helpless, and he felt homeless. I imagined all the possibilities, and eventually he realized there was only chance of becoming himself again was for someone to find the red pebble and wish the rock would be a donkey. Someone would surely find the red pebble. It was so bright and shiny, but on what? Sorry. But on what earth would make them wish the rock were a donkey? The chances is a billion at best. Sylvester fell asleep. What else could he do? Nightfall came. Meanwhile, back home, Mr. and Mr. Duncan paced the floor, frantic with their worry. Sylvester had never come home later than dinner time. Where could he be? They stayed up all night wondering what could have happened, expecting that Sylvester would turn up by morning. But he didn't, of course. Miss Duncan cried a lot, and Mr. Duncan did his best to soothe her. Both longed for their dearly son with them. Sorry. Both longed for their son with them. They never scold Sylvester again as long as I can live, said Mr. Duncan, no matter what he had done. At dawn, they went about inquiring of all the neighbors. They talked to the children and the puppies, the kittens, the colts, the piglets. No one's seen Sylvester since the day before, yesterday. They went to the police. The police could not find their child. All the other dogs at Oakdale went searching for him. They sniffed behind every rock and tree and blade of grass, into every nook and They sniffed behind every rock and tree and blade of grass, into every nook and gully of the neighborhood and beyond, but found not a scent of him. They sniffed the rock on Strawberry Hill, but it smelled like a rock. It didn't smell like Sylvester. After a month of searching the same places over and over and over again, inquiring of the same animals over and over and over again, Mr. and Mrs. Duncan no longer what to do. They concluded that something dreadful must have happened, and they probably would never see their son again. Though all of this time he was less than a mile away. They tried their best to be happy, to look about their usual ways, but their unusual ways include Sylvester, and they always reminded him of that. They were miserable. Life had no meaning for them anymore. Night followed the day, and days followed the nights, over and over and over again. Sylvester on the hill woke up less and less often. When he was awake, he was hopeless and unhappy. He felt he would be a rock forever, and he tried to get used to it. He went on a hopeless, endless sleep. The days grew colder. Fall came with the leaves changed the color, and the leaves fell, and the grass became ground. Then it was winter, and the wind blows this way and that way. It snowed. Most of the animals stayed indoors, living on food and they stored up. One day a wolf sat by the rock that was Sylvester, and he howled because he was hungry. Then the snow melted and the earth warmed up to spring, and the sun and things bubbled. Leaves were on the trees. Flowers showed their young faces. One day in May, Mrs. Duncan invested that his wife would go on with him on a picnic. They cheered up. He said, "Let us live near the things." "Let's cheer up," he said. "Let's live again and be happy though Sylvester, our angel, is no longer with us." They went to Strawberry Hill. Mrs. Duncan sat down on the rock. The warmth of his son, the warmth of his son's own mother sitting on him woke Sylvester up from his deep winter sleep. How he wanted to shout, "Mother, Father, it was Sylvester, I'm right here." But he couldn't. He had no voice. He was a dumb stone. Mr. Duncan walked aimlessly around while Mrs. Duncan set out a picnic on the rock. Alpha sandwiches, pickled oats, sassafras salad, Timmy Cumboat. Suddenly, Mr. Duncan saw the red pebble. "What a fantastic pebble!" he exclaimed. Sylvester would have loved this in his collection. He put the pebble on the rock. They sat down and they ate. Sylvester was now wide awake as the donkey was a rock could possibly be. Mrs. Duncan felt some mysterious excitement. "You know, Father," she said suddenly, "I have the strongest feeling that our dear Sylvester is still alive and not far away." I am, Sylvester wanted to shout, but he couldn't. If only he had realized that the pebble resting on his back was magical pebble. "Oh, how I wish I could have been here with us." "Oh, how I wish I could have been here with us lovely May days." Mrs. Duncan, Mr. Duncan suddenly looked sadly at the ground. "Don't you wish you too, Father?" she said. He looked at her if he said, "How can you ask such a question?" Mr. and Miss Duncan looked at the ground, looked at each other with great sorrow. "I wish I could have been myself again. I wish I could have been my real self again," thought Sylvester. And in that instance, he was. Yes, you can imagine the scene that followed and embraced the kisses and questions and answers and loving looks and found explanations. When they eventually calmed down a bit and had gotten home, Mr. Duncan put a magic pebble in front of Pebble in their iron safe. Someday they may need it, but really, for now, the more we wish for, they had all they could wanted. The end.